Hello and a very warm welcome from the BTS Career Zone. My name is Natalie Dawes and I'm absolutely thrilled to be delivering this podcast to you as part of our Career Pathways series. Today we are going to be talking to the M&G Wealth Advice Academy. The M&G Wealth Advice Academy are one of the BTS Career Zone featured companies, and Stephen Christie and Alan Ferrol are going to be telling us lots and lots more about what to expect as a trainee financial advisor, namely some of the support that is available. Rather than me introduce these chaps, I'm going to hand straight over to them. So Alan, can I come to you first?
Thanks, Natalie. I'm a business consultancy manager, so that means we support our academy partners coming into the world of financial advice from a financial planning perspective and a business planning perspective. We're thinking about helping them get off on the front foot with good, strong business plans and sharing with them best practice from all the conversations that Stephen and I have with other partners within the organisation, so they can absolutely make sure they're doing the right things at the right time.
Thanks, Alan. That all sounds fantastic. And we will definitely be getting into some of the detail on that in just a mo. Before we do, though, let me come to Stephen. Tell us a little bit about your role at the M&G Wealth Advice Academy.
Thank you, Natalie, and hello, everyone. I'm a business development manager, so almost kind of the same job as Alan, and as Alan particularly articulated there. I just have another slightly different part to my role where I work with strategic partners that we work with, and also local corporate firms that we work with, just to help try and create opportunity for our advisors. So I'm very much busy both helping advisors out on a local level, but also busy at centre trying to create opportunity for those advisors.
Thank you, Stephen. Much appreciated. It sounds like there's lots of crossover between both of your roles, but equally some subtle differences as well in what you do as you work together to support trainee financial advisors coming through the M&G Wealth Advice Academy. Question is it just the two of you, or is there a wider team that is in the background as well? Tell us about that.
I mean, there's a massive machine that supports our partners. So yes, within our part of the world, we've got a few other colleagues who help us in terms of be that succession planning, or as Stephen mentioned, in terms of the corporate arrangements that we look to put in place. We've got marketing colleagues who help our partners. We've got supervisors who help our partners. So it is absolutely not just us. We're just pulling together some of that best practice to share, but it's through collaboration with a huge number of other teams to support our academy partners.
Amazing. Let's consider what some of that looks like in reality, because we often speak to individuals that are looking for their next best step in their route to become an advisor. I am at this point going to attempt to put myself in the shoes of individuals like that. And a lot of the questions that we get, and if I'm honest, it would be the same if I was going through this journey myself. It would be, what does the support look like? I am concerned about getting my business off the ground, how to go about, how to navigate being self-employed. It's that sort of stuff that we are constantly asked questions about, and inevitably there are people listening to this now who are thinking exactly that. So let's say that we have somebody that has completed their exams and they are now ready to start building their business. At what point do you and your wider team get involved?
If you were working your way through the exams, Stephen and I would be talking to you about some of the things we're then going to start to think about as we ramp up through more of the training, as you come through what we call stage 2, where you're now involved with M&G Wealth Advice, and you're going through the advice processes, how to be an advisor, how to set up your business, and starting to build your business plan. So we get involved in just giving you pointers around what does a good business plan look like, maybe starting to think about some of the financial aspects of being a financial advisor in terms of how many leads do I need, both from what we provide and then self-gen. What do the costs within your business look like? And therefore, realistically, what sort of revenue would you start to generate years 1, 2, and 3? So we provide some very simple calculators in addition to supporting with business planning.
Just on that, you mentioned, not necessarily you would know everything about being self-employed and stepping into that world. Be lying if we say it's an easy adjustment to make. So a lot of the work that we do in the early days is almost like coaching, and it's trying to, get advisors or potential advisors to understand, you're now going to be self-employed. No one's really coming to save you, is what I say quite often, because it's your business that you're trying to build. So, you need to be dedicated, committed. You need to be prepared that it's not all going to be plain sailing. There will be, some tough days, and there'll be some great days. But, when Alan and I get involved right at the beginning and trying to help, it's sort of to help you put the building blocks in place that get you from being potentially where you've been in an employed environment into a self-employed environment. And that's what Alan's talking about, where he's saying, helping you understand the financials, helping you to create a business plan, but also implement that business plan, because that is effectively, the working document that is almost like a yardstick for your business, where you can see where you want to get to, right? How do I get there, and what do I need to do to get in there? And we've got some real key considerations that you would need to have a think about, and we can work on, and we can also share partner best practice that have been there and done that. So you can easily see, this is best practice, and this is, how I can run a successful business. But I come back to the point of a lot of it comes from within, from that academy member. You've got to be prepared for those hard yards, but it's very rewarding if you are prepared for it.
It's not just us. As Stephen mentioned, we share best practice. We sometimes even just bring, more experienced partners on the call. And that doesn't need to be people who have done this for years. It could be somebody who's just simply 6 months ahead, 12 months ahead. This is the experience I had. And I think it's painting that picture that you're not alone. So we talked about this massive machine behind us. It's a brilliant community, and people genuinely want to help everybody else. So the partners themselves will share readily the success they've had. Some will even share the pitfalls, so some of the mistakes that they've made, so that others don't then make the same mistakes moving forward. So there's real collaboration. And I know being a financial advisor can potentially feel quite isolated at times, because you're just in your own business and focusing on your own things. But actually there's a real community spirit in terms of what we do and how we help everybody to be the best that they can be.
I think you make some really interesting points in there, actually, and my mind has gone to a couple of things that I'm involved with outside of work. One of those things involves mentoring in quite a big way, and actually we were having a conversation the other day around what mentoring really is, what it looks like, and the type of person that makes a great mentor. In many cases, it's not necessarily someone with loads of experience. It's someone that is just a few months ahead and are actually still going through whatever it is that they are mentoring in. I think that mentoring also provides, as you said, that community feel. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, actually, because I personally think it's really important. Now, developing some of the areas that we've spoken about, I must admit, confession incoming, I jumped in with my 2 big feet earlier on with an assumption in that your support came much later, beyond term 1, but I was wrong. So talk to us more about how that support gets going.
If you've not yet qualified, then we call that stage 1. So if you're going through the exams, we will get involved. We do evening sessions, 90-minute sessions, where we talk about best practice on building a plan. But when you then come in to then, if you're then qualified and going through stage 2, which is getting access to the systems and starting to really think about being a financial advisor, we will be one of the first days within the stage 2 program, setting you a task of building your business plan. And we then come back at the end of stage 2 to review what you've done. So we know the importance of having a plan, and in any form of industry, etc. Being successful, you need to have a plan, and as Stephen mentioned, it's the execution of that plan that is so important. So by asking you at the start of stage 2 to build a plan and then share it with everybody, what we get is, well, 1, everybody produces one, which is great. You've then got a plan as you move off into stages 3 and 4. But if you're sharing it with each other, you are, there's no perfect business plan, and everyone will come at it in very different directions and thoughts, maybe more focused on the financials, maybe thinking more about the human aspects of business planning in terms of the number of clients and how you want to help individuals. So by sharing, we get the opportunity to what we call steal, adapt, adopt. So everybody in the room will share a very different aspect of their business plan that you'll hear and you'll think, I like that. I'm going to use that. It wasn't something I necessarily thought about. I'm going to take that and move forward. So what you then end up having is rounded business plans from everybody, because we've all taken the best bits of each other's. So we're there right at the get-go. And because I think, as you mentioned, it can feel a little bit daunting. So we really want to make sure that you're setting off on the right foot. So we need to be there as early as possible, so that you've got that confidence and reassurance that you're thinking and planning to do the right things, and that you're not alone, that we are there to support you, and there's a whole world behind us to support you even further.
Typically at stage 2, when you're getting introduced and you're on joint calls with others that are going through the stages at the same time, typically they'll set up a WhatsApp group, which is really, really good. So you can all bounce ideas off each other. And I often encourage, just go away in smaller groups and buddy up and present your business plans to each other, or ideas together. And Alan rightly said, that steal, adapt, adopt is a great way of putting it. So as we say, we get in nice and early, and it's there are constant touch points in there. But obviously, Alan and I are available for one-to-one sessions as well for those that really want to get to grips with it. But then, as soon as they're in sort of stage 2 as well, they can get access to some of the content material that we also provide online, which I'm sure we'll touch upon very shortly. I know Alan's obviously mentioned around some of the tools that we use, but we also do little drop-in clinics that we do every Friday for all partners. So again, it comes back to that partner sharing piece, where we've got the really, really experienced, and then we've got those that are just starting out. So we cover a range of topics, but the important thing is with these topics, it's not necessarily Alan and I that come up with them and think that's what they'll want to hear about. It's very much our ears close to the ground, and it's what partners are telling us, that some of their challenges that they're having, or it's some of the we use the word problem statements, but it's I want to grow my business, but I'm not necessarily sure how I do that. So then Alan and I have a bit of idea generation, and we go away and we talk to some partners that have been there and done that, and really quiz them on how they grew their business, so we can say, don't just take our word for it. Here's a fantastic advisor that's been there and done that. And partners, 99 times out of 100 are open books, and they'll tell you sort of what's and all, some of the stories that they've got, which is really beneficial. So I get the point I'm trying to make is there is a lot of support there should you want it and have access to it. But again, it comes back to if you're building your business plan, it's an active business plan, and it's a working document that you're putting your time and effort into. You're not just doing it just so it ticks a box. I know if I complete this business plan and I have it and I believe in it and it's realistic and it's also got stretch targets in there for me, then I know I can be a success.
I want to pick up on your point there about being realistic. Another question that we get at BTS often is, how much money can I earn in becoming a financial advisor? And perhaps a lot of the answer to that question comes back to the business plan that we've spoken quite a bit about already during this session, and more so the right type of person executing it. So being realistic, what does that business plan look like, and how is it taken forward?
How much can I earn? You can earn as much as you want. It comes down to how hard, as Stephen mentioned, how hard do you want to work? So the calculators show you a reasonable stage process. So I need X leads that gets me Y appointments, to Z presentations, to have run out of letters, to A sales. And you've got, what's a reasonable case size? What's a reasonable conversion rate? So the calculator is there as a kind of, here's an average, here's what we typically see. And if you think, actually, I want that to look better, great, you need to put more things into the hopper at the top, or you need to get better at the conversion rates from stage to stage to stage. So the potential is, to a certain extent, the potential is limitless. So it's really just how hard you want to work. But it's being realistic. Absolutely, you want to be realistic, and we mentioned before, just aspire to be like the person 6 months ahead of you, not the person who's 15 years ahead of you. that could become demotivational because you don't necessarily ever feel like you get there. So it's being realistic, short steps, but it's always about moving forward and how do I improve each aspect of what I want to do. We can help with each of those stages, and we can help you. We don't want to demotivate you if you want a certain amount of money, but it would just be a case of if that's the thing, then great. Let's build a business plan that gets you to that, but be realistic about what that means in terms of what you need to do in terms of finding new clients, the volume of clients you are then going to need, and the quality of those individuals that you're going to need to bring through to get to that number. So, anything is possible. We can build a plan to do whatever you want.
I think the other part of being realistic as well is it wouldn't be an academy call if I didn't say walk before you can run. I get you're all excited and it's new business, your name's above the door, and it is all very exciting. But if you think about the day you first walked into your first ever employment and to the day you walked out, you're very, very different. You've been through a lot of challenges and you've been through a lot of successes and a lot of pitfalls and what have you. As I say, that will happen here. But it's about being realistic, within the first year, right? What's a realistic amount of money that I could earn? How many clients could I realistically see? Because the number of clients you could see in year 1 is going to be completely different to what you could potentially see in year 5. Because you'll be more efficient, you'll be more fluid, you'll have a better range of knowledge of the systems and what have you. So, trying to say I can meet 10 clients a week, it's just physically not going to be possible when you're trying to understand the business as a whole, when you're trying to adopt that new mindset of being a self-employed business owner. So again, it's about the smarter objective settings that we talk about whenever we're helping with business plans and what have you. But yeah, it's there will be excitement to grow the business, but there also has to be obviously excitement to immerse yourself in getting to know the systems, getting to know the product knowledge, the soft skills side of speaking to clients as well. Because there's no point going out and seeing all these clients if what you're saying and you're not being able to articulate yourself in the right possible way. So we speak a lot about having your magic minute and your value statement, and that's where we talk about what is it that I actually do for clients. It's not pension consolidation. It's I make sure that they can retire when they want to, so they can spend more time with grandchildren. It's that sort of thing that resonates with a client. So when we are saying, if you're having these better conversations with clients, then effectively you should, your conversion rates will get better because you're understanding their needs more and you're able to, address other areas that maybe not necessarily you would have had you not put as much effort into those soft skills sort of workshops and what have you that we run as well.
Definitely. I completely agree with you. This is something that I think is often overlooked when considering embarking on a career as an advisor. And actually, building the softer skills, continuing to revisit developing those softer skills, I think is often something overlooked in our industry overall at times too. In this setting, though, it leads me to ask you a question around what type of skills, what type of mindset does an individual need to start with on the M&G Wealth Advice Academy in order to be successful, to go on and build, say, those years 1, 2, 3 and beyond?
I think there's a whole range of skills that you need. Obviously, you need to be a people person. I think you need to be a good communicator. I think you really need to be curious, bordering on nosy. I think that's so important when you're meeting people is to really get to know them so well, and you're explaining to them why that's important so that they open up. You need, I mentioned communicator. You need to be able to articulate concepts in simple terms so that people feel they don't feel overwhelmed with what you're trying to do for them. There's a whole range of things that you need to do. Be self-motivated. Stephen talked about be a self-starter so that you are driving yourself forward. Yes, we're going to help you. You're a self-employed individual. Maybe you're part of another firm, but you need to be driven and focused. You need to be disciplined in terms of executing your business plan. I don't know what else I've missed, Stephen.
The only one I can think of is honest part. A lot of people are afraid to put their hand up and say, you know, I'm struggling here, because they might see others in the cohort that they've come through flying, and they might think, I'll just keep my head down and, you know, things will be all right. But I'm a huge advocate of just put your hand up, whether it be with your supervisor or it be, you know, with myself and Alan. You might not feel comfortable in a group, but by putting your hand up and saying, look, I'm not really getting this, or I don't understand that, or I'm needing a little bit more help, then that can only be a better thing for you, but a better thing for the business as a whole. And that's better for us all. Because if you don't tell someone what you're going through and some of the experience you have and other challenges you have, we're not going to be able to guess that. So absolutely, honesty and transparency is vitally important, I would say.
Absolutely love that for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because being open, honest, transparent are all good values, actually required by the regulator type of values as well. So live by them from the get-go, and that's the making of a great advisor right there. Secondly, from that reassuring arm that's just been offered by saying putting your hand up and asking for help is absolutely okay. And it's actually what people like yourselves are there for in those times when perhaps a little bit of extra support is needed. So dare I ask, maybe an awkward question, but what scenarios can you think of where perhaps things have gone a little bit wrong, and what support was in place to help that?
So I guess if someone hasn't necessarily picked up, so we do a lot of training online on systems like this, because simply it's the only way we can really feasibly do it with so many people all around the UK. So some people might not necessarily pick up training or, you know, a new bit of guidance. So it's just about putting your hand up to say, look, I didn't quite understand that, and maybe it's a one-to-one session with Stephen or I, or it's a smaller group session if there's a few individuals. We provide written guides. People like to read stuff. There's recordings. People like to watch things back. So we understand that. I read a great book called Surrounded by Idiots, which usually gets that response, which is the understanding that everyone learns and takes information in different ways. So we try to make sure that we do that, but we don't always get it right. So it's just about those individuals saying, look, I didn't quite get it. Can we go through it again? And then we're always happy to do that. And then maybe if it's potentially cases that haven't gone quite right in terms of what's been submitted, then we track trends. So it might just be an individual that we maybe want to pick up on, or if there's an indication from, you know, files being submitted for the advice that they're looking to give, that there might be an issue. Then Stephen mentioned drop-in clinics. So we'll do a session on a Friday morning, or we'll do something at a bigger event where we're capturing everybody just to refresh and remind everyone what the needs are. Or we pick individuals off individually just to make sure that they're comfortable, that, you know, give them that safe space that they can ask questions, and just make sure that their knowledge and understanding is where it needs to be.
I would just add to that as well, some real cases that I've seen as we are been having one-to-one consultations with academists, as we call them. But sometimes if they find themselves being, what's another phrase, a busy fool, so they're almost trying to do too much and not necessarily, you know, drill down on just one or two or even three activities. Because Alan and I talk a lot about growth strategies and having as many new business avenues as possible and diversifying those new business avenues, so that, say, for example, one was to maybe fall down, whether that be from, you know, a professional introducer, they're not giving you the referrals that, you know, you anticipated, but you've still got another 4 new business avenues coming in. So we speak a lot about, you know, building them up, but what sometimes I see is people trying to build all 5 at the same time, or 6 at the same time. And it's, let's just get a couple of plates up and running first. And as I say, walk before you can run. And once they're spinning sort of by themselves, right, now what can we venture into? But what we also talk about is that prioritization, and, you know, what gives you high reward for, you know, low effort? What are some of the ones that you can tick off nice and easy? Or where does your skill set lie? Because what's the point in going to try and do financial education seminars if you are not comfortable at all about speaking in front of, you know, a group of people. But where you are really good at is, you know, that one-to-one, I'm asking for referrals. That's what I'm best at. So let's make that even better. And, you know, we can come back to the other points that maybe you're not so good on, but once you've got, you know, a couple of new business avenues up and running. So definitely that around being a busy fool, trying to do too much too quickly. So it's do less, but do it even better. And then you can come back to the other point. So I think that's a real big one. But that comes back to that excitement piece, because you're super excited and you want to get out there and you want to get running. But then what I would also say is another example that I've had is we talk a lot about planning and we talk about, you know, getting the plan in place. I know, and we've said that it's the execution of that plan that is key. Go out there and do that. You know, you need to go out and you need to take some penalty kicks. You need to go out and, you know, practice what you're planning, because you can plan to the nth degree and that first meeting might not go the way you want it. And you think, oh, my plan's, you know, out the window. It's not necessarily, it's you know, take a plan to a certain point and then it's go out and test things. And once you've tested it, the important part of that is review it. What went well, what didn't go so well, what could I do more of, where do I need more support, and tweak it as you go. And that means you'll be absolutely more successful. So yeah, there's two very real examples that I come across. But again, we can support and work with advisors to you know, tweak that and get them to a place where they should be.
I feel like I've spent the last 20 minutes continuously nodding along with everything that you are saying. And it's because what I'm hearing in this session is that the support provided when it comes to someone building their very own business is that it's well-rounded, it's thorough, and importantly, it's adaptable. Like the business plan, that's adaptable too, in fact. And I think you said it earlier on, it's a working document. To change, to challenge, to be there as a support tool. It's most certainly not rigid. And neither is someone's skill set. What they come in with on day one isn't who they're necessarily going to be down the line. Their skills will develop as they build their plan, as they go out there and they test it. And all of this is fully supported, stuff that we just don't hear enough about. But of course, that was the point of this session. One final question to pose, if I may. If you were going to give one piece of advice specifically around business development or building a business, what would that advice be?
Just do it. I think, you know, if you're nervous, if you're thinking, is this really for me? I think if you're the type of individual who's self-motivated, you know, who is disciplined in terms of executing a plan, who is really good as a people person, then just get in. It's a hugely rewarding industry and role. I think, you know, helping lots and lots of people, yes, you can absolutely then also be successful for yourself. But it's we see people coming into role, and certainly from the academy and the individuals we speak to who are maybe 6-12 months in are absolutely delighted with the decision that they made. So if you're nervous, if you're apprehensive, yes, that's good, because it's exciting and it'll be very different, but there's a whole support mechanism to help you to become the very best advisor that you can be.
Amazing. Stephen?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that. I think Alan's dog just pushed the door open and closed it behind him.
We've taught him that. I'm available for lessons on that as well if you're interested.
Right, mine's has just been scratching at the door for the last 10 minutes. So.
Mine's down here on her bed, so well trained.
Yeah. No, I think Alan makes absolutely a great point. You know, just do it. And I think mine's is along the same sort of lines. I would say, you know, be prepared to be comfortable being uncomfortable, certainly within the first couple of years. But again, another phrase I always say is, you know, there is beauty in the struggle. That what you will learn about yourself and what you will learn about business is completely invaluable. And you'll look back and, you know, the journey of a business plan, the journey of becoming a financial advisor is, as I say, where you get most out of. And that helps you in all different walks of life and, you know, the people side of things as well. So, yeah, I would absolutely say, you know, be prepared to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And, yeah, there is definitely beauty in the struggle.
Oh my goodness me, what a way to finish. I'll tell you something, the two of you have got so many fantastic sayings.
That's what happens.
Thank you both so much. Alan, Stephen, you've been a pleasure to chat to, and I think you've given some really valuable insight to what the support is really like when it comes to building a successful financial advisory business with the M&G Wealth Advice Academy. If you'd like to hear more about the Academy, you can visit the M&G Wealth Advice Academy featured company page on the BTS Career Zone. You can, of course, get in touch with us anytime at BTS. Give us a call, send us an email, let's have a chat and have an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you might have. We are always so very happy to help. I hope you've enjoyed this session as much as I have. Thanks once again to Alan and Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you.